Every year, the best NFL team is decided by the Super Bowl. But today, it'll be decided by NFL imperialism. The rules are simple. We'll spin the wheel to determine which team goes on the attack first, and then spin the arrow to decide the direction of their attack. The winning team not only claims the territory of their defeated rivals, they also get to steal one of their top players. But here's the twist. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has forced every team to use only players that they drafted. Imagine Tyreek Hill once again joining Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce on the Chiefs, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams reuniting on the Green Bay Packers, and other players joining their former teams to try and win this football imperialism. Our first spin sees the Cincinnati Bengals going on the attack, and the arrow points northwest, setting the stage for a matchup with the Indianapolis Colts. Jesse Bates reunites with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, while Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, and Michael Pittman Jr. will be leading the Colts. Each game will be played on 2-minute quarters. The last team standing will be crowned champions of the Draft Edition Imperialism. And on Anthony Richardson's opening drive, he was able to connect with Alec Pierce, but the drive ended up stalling out. And Joe Burrow was able to make them pay by throwing an absolute laser pass to Jamar Chase to take a 7-point lead. Even though the Colts were able to kick a field goal to cut the lead, Joe Burrow was able to get his team into scoring range, this time a pass to Tyler Boyd. A couple plays later, Joe Burrow takes the snap, passes it to Jamar Chase, who walks into the end zone to extend the lead. The Colts fail to mount the comeback, and the Bengals go on to win their opening game. And now they get to claim one player that was drafted by the Colts. They elected to bring in 6th overall pick in the 2018 draft, Quentin Nelson, to beef up their offensive line. The Bengals also take over the Colts territory on the map. As the wheel spins for the next matchup, it ends up landing on the Houston Texans. Let's spin this arrow to see which direction they have to attack, and it's going to be northeast. Having a look at the map, they'll be going up against the New Orleans Saints. This seems to be a pretty even matchup as both teams are a 76 rated, with DeAndre Hopkins back on the Texans and Teron Armstead returns to the Saints. This game ended up being tied at the end of regulation, but in overtime, CJ Stroud was able to connect with DeAndre Hopkins for a huge gain of 46 yards. For Kami Fairbairn, it's a 46-yard field goal. Jake Hader was able to work his team down the field, and on 1st and 10, he ends up finding Alvin Kamara in the end zone to win the game. Not only do they take over the Texans territory on the map, they also get to claim number 2 overall pick CJ Stroud as their new quarterback. And if your favorite team gets eliminated early in this competition, go ahead and root for some of your favorite NFL players from around the league. As the wheel spins for the 3rd time, it ends up landing on the San Francisco 49ers. Let's spin the arrow, and they are heading east to attack the Las Vegas Raiders. The Niners still have majority of their superstars on their roster, minus Christian McCaffrey. And as for the Raiders, they have both Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper both returning to their roster. Derek Carr ended up being sacked 3 straight times on the opening drive, while Brock Purdy kept his team moving down the field. Unfortunately, there wasn't much time to score a touchdown, so they ended up settling for a field goal. Early in the second half, Brock Purdy takes a huge sack from Khalil Mack. However, on the next play, he connects with Deebo Samuel for 20 yards. Elijah Mitchell was then able to punch it in for a touchdown to take a 12-point lead. The Raiders did end up cutting the lead down to 5, but there was no time left, and the Niners went on to eliminate the Raiders from this competition, taking their territory and stealing Max Crosby from their roster. Without skipping a beat, the wheel lands on the Miami Dolphins, and as we spin the arrow to determine which way they are attacking, it's going to be northwest. That means they'll be attacking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Dolphins are without superstar receiver Tyreek Hill, but Tampa Bay has 70 overall Jameis Winston as their QB. After successfully converting on 4th and 1, Jameis Winston keeps it for himself and gets it to the 1-yard line. Rashad White was then able to punch it in for 6. Down 7, Tua is attempting to lead his team down the field, but on 4th and 16, he throws one up and it gets intercepted by Ryan Neal. And the Dolphins are now eliminated from the competition. With a few superstars on the Dolphins roster to choose from, the Bucs elected to bring over 1st-round pick Minkah Fitzpatrick to play alongside Anton Winfield Jr. And more importantly, the Bucs take over another part of Florida. Diving into the next matchup, the wheel selects the New York Jets, who will be on the attack. The arrow spins, pointing to the north, meaning the New York Giants will be their opponent. Both teams were able to bring back a few players from around the league. The first score didn't come until late in the game, where Breece Hall took the handoff and rushed it in for a 10-yard touchdown. Daniel Jones failed to connect with Kadarius Toney on 4th down, and the Jets end up winning by a score of 7-0. The Jets now got to take over the Giants' territory and elected to bring in Saquon Barkley, who was taken with the 2nd overall pick in 2018, and he will now be the Jets' new starting running back. After the wheel landed on the Arizona Cardinals, they were easily able to move into an unclaimed territory to the east, followed by the Broncos heading north to expand into an unclaimed territory, followed by the Chiefs expanding southwest, which was also an unclaimed territory. As we spin the wheel once again, it lands on the Vikings, and after spinning the arrow, they have to attack east. Means they take on the Green Bay Packers. Stephon Diggs makes his return to the Vikings. He will play alongside Justin Jefferson, However, Kirk Cousins is no longer the starting QB, and they'll have to rely on Teddy Bridgewater. The Packers, on the other hand, bring back Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Both teams failed to score on their opening drives, but Aaron Rodgers was able to make some great throws before handing it off to Aaron Jones, who easily scores the first touchdown of the game. Late in the fourth quarter, Teddy Bridgewater uses his legs to pick up some yards before throwing to the back of the end zone where Justin Jefferson is there to hang on to it. With the game all tied up, Rodgers was not able to get the first down, and Teddy Bridgewater was able to connect with Stephon Diggs, setting up a game-winning field goal. The kick is up, and it's good! And one of the favorites are now eliminated from this competition, with Jair Alexander now joining a division rival as their new CB1. And after the Vikings take over the Packers' territory, the next wheel spin lands on the Kansas City Chiefs. This time, the arrow's pointing east. That means they take on the Chicago Bears. We now get to see Mahomes and Tyreek Hill reunite for the first time, while Roquan Smith returns to Chicago. The Bears ended up using the entire first half, but ended up just settling for 3. And in the second half, Mahomes threw a pass to Travis Kelce before connecting with Tyreek Hill over the middle. With just under a minute to go, Patrick Mahomes hikes it. He's looking. Is he gonna find someone? He is! Oh, and he gets his receiver in the end zone, McCole Hardman. And after a 16-yard rush by Justin Fields, hikes the ball, throws the ball deep, but it gets intercepted, and Jalen Watson was able to avoid a couple defenders to take it for 6. The Chiefs end up taking down the Bears, and they elect to bring in Roquan Smith as their new middle linebacker to play with Nick Bolton. And with that win, they take over the rest of the Bears territory, giving them a real nice spot on the map. The next matchup showcased the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are heading south to attack the Bucs. It looks like the Bucs have the advantage in terms of overall, but Jalen Ramsey returns to the team that drafted him. The Bucs are down 7 with just under 2 minutes to go, and on 4th and 1, Rachaad White was unable to pick up the first down, and Jacksonville was able to seal the game with a field goal. Since Jacksonville won, they can steal one player that the Bucs drafted, and after looking at their roster, they elected to bring in Mike Evans, be wide receiver number 1 to help Trevor Lawrence. And just like that, the Jags take over the rest of Florida. Keeping this moving, the next wheel spin lands on the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see which way they're going to attack, and it looks like they're heading west. And taking a peek at the map, that means they're going up against the Steelers. Both teams have drafted fairly well, so no major changes to their rosters. Late in the first half, Hurts was able to connect with former first-round pick Nelson Aguilar for the touchdown. The Eagles continue right where they left off, with Hurts breaking a tackle and diving into the end zone to take a 14-point lead. They went on to defeat the Steelers, and this was a no-brainer, bringing in TJ Watt to beef up their defense while taking over the Steelers' territory on the map. However, the next wheel spin landed on the Detroit Lions. And after looking at the map, they can attack either the Browns, Bengals, or Vikings, depending on which way the arrow lands. And after spinning the arrow, they are heading west, take on the Vikings. Matthew Stafford makes his return to Detroit, and he has a few weapons to pass to. No score through the first 3 quarters, and this game came down to a field goal. The kick is up, and it's good! The Lions end up defeating the Vikings by 3 points, taking all of their territory on the map and bringing in Justin Jefferson to really beef up their offense. After spinning the wheel once again, it looks like it's going to land on the Dallas Cowboys for the first time. And they will definitely be attacking a team. So after spinning the arrow, it looks like they're heading northwest, take on the Cardinals. And the Cowboys should definitely have an advantage with their top 3 looking real scary, while Tyrann Mathieu and Hassan Reddick returned to Arizona. The Cowboys defense came up big on their opening drive, and Dak was able to connect with Noah Brown, who breaks off 1 tackle and scores a 53-yard touchdown. They continued dominating the Cardinals with yet another touchdown pass to Noah Brown to extend the lead. After throwing his 3rd touchdown pass to Noah Brown, Dak and the Cowboys eliminate the Cardinals from this competition, electing to bring over Budda Baker to help their secondary and taking over the rest of Arizona's territory on the map. During the next 3 spins, the Bengals, Jets, and Chiefs all claim the unclaimed territory surrounding them. However, the Washington Commanders find themselves attacking next. After giving the arrow a spin, they are tasked with attacking northeast, which means they're attacking the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens definitely have the advantage for this game, but the Commanders brought back Kirk Cousins and Trent Williams. The Ravens were not having much success in the first half, but the Commanders quarterback Kirk Cousins was slinging it. First to Jahan Dotson, then to Terry McLaurin, before connecting with tight end in the end zone to go up 7. Surprisingly, the Commanders had a 10-point lead, and they were able to extend that with another field goal. Although the Ravens were able to score a touchdown, it was too late, and the Commanders pulled off this incredible upset and now take over all of the Ravens' territory on the map. And as for stealing a player, they could bring in Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, or even Marlon Humphrey. But since they already have Kirk Cousins, they decided to beef up their secondary and bring in Marlon Humphrey as CB1. Next team up is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars once again, and the arrow points northeast. Their target? That would be the Atlanta Falcons. This should be an even matchup since they're both similar rated. And this game, it went exactly as I expected. both teams swapping field goals, and with under 1 minute to go, Desmond Ridder connects with Kyle Pitts, breaks one tackle, and goes the rest of the way to score a touchdown and win the game. And with that win, the Falcons elect to bring in Jalen Ramsey from the Jags and add him to their roster. But more importantly, they get to take all the Jags territory in Florida. With just 20 teams remaining, the next team going on the attack is the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll be heading south and expanding into an unclaimed territory, and after giving the wheel another spin, we have the Dallas Cowboys going back on the attack. This time, they are heading north to attack the Denver Broncos. And as you can imagine, the Cowboys have a huge advantage here, but we did see a huge upset earlier with the Commanders taking down the Ravens. The Broncos were able to put up 3 points in the first half, but Dak was working his team down the field with a nice pass to Dalton Schultz. With just a minute 20 to go, Dak Prescott is under center, steps back, throws it up, and oh, it gets intercepted. They gotta get him. They gotta get him down. No, he is going all the way for a pick six, giving them a 10-point lead. And just like that, the Cowboys, who were very heavy favorites, are now eliminated from the competition. The Broncos get to take all of their territory, as well as bringing over Micah Parsons to boost their defense. The next couple of wheel spins allow the Niners to head north and expand into an unclaimed territory, followed by the Philadelphia Eagles heading south to take on the 83 overall Commanders. As we fast forward to late in the fourth quarter, the game is all tied up with Kirk Cousins trying to get the Commanders into field goal range. He was able to get them down the field, and now the kick is up, and it's good! I can't believe Kirk Cousins and the Commanders eliminated the Eagles. They also get to bring over Lane Johnson, who will beef up that offensive line, and they take over all of the Eagles' territory on the map. And right into the next one, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going on the attack. They are heading north, east, attack the Cleveland Browns, who have a really solid team. Even though Baker wasn't as a high overall as Joe Burrow, he was still able to sling it. And on the next play, Baker connects with his receiver in the end zone for 6. After scoring a field goal in the first half, Joe Burrow hikes the ball and hits Jamar Chase for a touchdown to win the game. And this was a no-brainer for the Bengals, as they steal away Myles Garrett to add to their defense and take over all the Browns' territory. Moving on to the next wheel spin, it lands on the LA Rams for the first time, and they have to go on the attack. Seeing the arrow, it looks like it's pointing east. And this one is clear. They are going up against the Niners, who have already beat the Raiders so far. Jared Goff is back under center for the Rams, but at least he has Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua as his receivers. And on the second play of the game, Elijah Mitchell takes the handoff and was able to go 76 yards for a touchdown. But Jared Goff was able to get his team down the field before connecting with Josh Reynolds in the end zone to tie the game. The Rams were also able to kick a field goal right before the second half to take a 3-point lead. And in the second half, Jared Goff was able to get the Niners to use all 3 timeouts before running out the clock to win the game. The Rams elect to beef up their defense by taking Nick Bosa and playing him alongside Aaron Donald while taking over the Niners territory in California. During the next couple of wheel spins, the map saw a few changes with the Seahawks and Saints each expanding into unclaimed territories, and on the next spin, the Chargers are going on the attack. They have the potential to attack either the Rams or the Broncos, but the arrow points southeast, meaning they have a date with the Broncos. And my gosh, did they start off strong, with Drew Lock connecting with Jerry Jeudy, and then Javonte Williams rushed it in for a touchdown. Luckily for the Chargers, they were able to kick a field goal right before halftime. And in the second half, Herbert used his legs to get his team down the field. And on 2nd and goal, Herbert steps back and finds Keenan Allen in the end zone to take the 3-point lead. The Broncos were then able to tie the game up, and we are now heading to overtime. Drew Lock threw a beam to Courtland Sutton, and then Javonte Williams punches in for a second touchdown. Unfortunately, the Chargers offense ended up throwing an interception to Patrick Surtain. After winning the game, the Broncos end up bringing over Justin Herbert to take over for Drew Lock. After doing that, they also get to take a small part of the Chargers territory on the map. Continuing to see which team is up next, and the wheel spin lands on the LA Rams once again. Let's give this arrow a spin, and they are attacking northeast, it looks like. This is going to be a big matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, who have Russell Wilson back at QB. And this was a real boring game, as the only score came from a Jason Myers field goal, and the LA Rams are now eliminated, losing all of their territory to the Seahawks. They also decided to bring over Aaron Donald to help their defense moving forward. The map is really starting to shape out, and on the next few spins, we saw the Titans heading southwest to take on the Saints. Honestly put up a great fight, but it wasn't enough, as the Saints win by a score of 17-10, bringing over A.J. Brown to the roster, and then taking their territory, followed by the Kansas City Chiefs, who go on the attack once again, and this time, they have to head east to take on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe Burrow came out slinging the rock, first to Higgins, then to Joe Mixon, but the Bengals decided to fake a field goal and failed to convert. In the second half, the Chiefs were able to move down the field, but ended up taking 3. 1 minute to go. Joe Burrow throws an absolute beam to Jamar Chase before Joe Mixon rushes in for a 3-yard touchdown to win the game. And with that win, the Bengals elected to bring in Tyreek Hill over to make their wide receiver room even better. And just like that, the Bengals now control all the Chiefs' territory. With that really big win in this competition, we have the Detroit Lions attacking next. Lucky for them, the arrow points west, and they are able to expand into an unclaimed territory. Followed by the Commanders, who landed on the arrow pointing east, means they get to expand into another unclaimed territory. However, the Jets are the next team on the wheel and get a chance to attack. Spinning the arrow, it looks like they're going southeast, which means they have to attack the Patriots. And with this game all tied up, Geno Smith was able to lead his team down the field with the help of Saquon Barkley. The Jets are a field goal away from winning. The kick is up, and it's good! The Jets sneak out a close win over the Patriots and end up stealing Joe Thuney to help their offensive line. But more importantly, they take over the Patriots' territory, including all the unclaimed states around them since no other team can claim them. The very next wheel spin ended up landing on the Carolina Panthers, who had to head west to take on the Saints. They ended up losing by a score of 10-3. And Christian McCaffrey now joins the Saints roster. They also take over all the Panthers' territory. With the next wheel spin landing on the New Orleans Saints, let's see which direction they have to attack. And that's going to be east. And they got lucky because they get to expand into an unclaimed territory, but on the very next wheel spin, it lands on the Denver Broncos. And after spinning the arrow, they have to head west to take on the Seahawks. And both teams have similar ratings, so this should be a good one. Both teams struggled to get any offense going until Russell Wilson rolled out and threw a beautiful pass to Tyler Lockett to take a 10-point lead. Even though the Broncos were able to get on the board with this nice pass to Jerry Jeudy, Kenneth Walker was able to pick up a couple first downs to help put this game away. And with that win, the Seahawks decided to steal Patrick Surtain to add to their quarterback room and then take over all the Broncos' territory. With just 8 teams left in this competition, we saw the Jets going on the attack once again, and this time they head south to take on the Washington Commanders. And unfortunately, the Jets' time in this competition comes to an end as the Commanders find a way to pull off the come-from-behind win with a really nice pass from Kirk Cousins to Jameis Crowder, claiming all of the Jets' territory and stealing Sauce Gardner, who joins an already stacked secondary. The wheel finally landed on the Buffalo Bills for the first time, and after spinning the arrow, they're heading east to attack the much-improved Commanders. And this was a perfect start for the Bills as Kirk Cousins throws an interception to Stephon Gilmore. Although the Bills got a field goal in the first half, the Commanders were able to answer back with this nice pass to Terry McLaurin to take the lead. 4th and goal, Josh Allen hikes it, and what is he doing? No! He overthrows it! And the Commanders go on to win the game, taking their territory in the process. And after looking at the Bills roster, the Commanders elected to steal Matt Milano to really beef up their defense. After the wheel spin landed on the Commanders once again, they were easily able to move into an unclaimed territory to the south, followed by the Seahawks heading northeast to expand into an unclaimed territory. And as we spin the wheel once again, it lands on the Atlanta Falcons. Let's give the arrow a spin, and it looks like they're heading southwest, which means they take on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have an 83 overall team with McCaffrey and AJ Brown joining their team, but Jalen Ramsey hopes to give the Falcons a chance. No score in the first 3 quarters, but in the 4th, CJ Stroud was leading his team down the field with some nice passes. McCaffrey was then able to run out the clock and get them into field goal range. A field goal here wins it, and the kick is up, and it's good! Somehow the Saints pull off yet another win, this time taking Chris Lindstrom to beef up their offensive line and also taking all of the Falcons' territory, including the unclaimed state as well. I'm not really sure if there's like a clear favorite in this competition with the 5 remaining teams, but after jumping into the next wheel spin, it looks like the Saints don't get a break and are going back on the attack. Spinning the arrow to see who their opponent will be, and they are heading west, which means they have a date with the Seahawks. Both teams have had some really great players so far in this competition, and Russell Wilson turns back the clock and shows off some vintage rust by scrambling into the end zone to take a 10-point lead at halftime. However, CJ Stroud was able to connect with AJ Brown for a touchdown to cut the lead down to 6. And Russell Wilson relied heavily on Kenneth Walker to pick up a first down to put this game away. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks take all the Saints territory, and more importantly, they elect to beef up their offensive line by bringing over Teron Armstead. The Seahawks now control majority of the map, and after spinning the wheel once again, it looks like the Bengals are going on the attack next. This time, they have to attack northwest. That means we have a Bengals-Lions matchup. I don't really know which team has the advantage, with both rosters absolutely stacked. Skipping ahead to the 4th quarter, Stafford was able to hike the ball and find Justin Jefferson over the middle for a huge 24-yard gain. And we are now setting up for a game-winning field goal. The kick is up, and it's good. The Lions win. They elect to bring over Jesse Bates from the Bengals, and they take over all the Bengals territory as well. We are down to just 3 NFL teams remaining, and spinning the wheel to see who's on the attack next, it looks like we have the Detroit Lions, who could potentially attack either one of these teams. Let's see who they're going to face off against, and it looks like they're going south. Now have Matthew Stafford and the Lions going up against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. The game started off great for the Seahawks, as Russ was able to connect with Jackson Smith and Jigba for a solid 22-yard gain. On 2nd and 7, Russell Wilson steps back and throws it to the back of the end zone where Tyler Lockett makes the catch for the touchdown. Both teams were then forced to punt the ball in their next possession, giving the Lions one last chance to tie this game up. Stafford then picks up 20 yards by finding Williams for the first down, but then gets sacked on the very next play. And on the last play of the game, Stafford throws the ball, but he completely overthrows his receiver, and the Seahawks come out victorious, and they get to take over all of the Lions' territory, including all the unclaimed spots in between. They elected to bring in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was actually drafted by the Lions in the 4th round in the 2021 NFL Draft, and he'll be wide receiver number 1 for the Seahawks. We're down to the last game between the Seahawks and the Commanders. Obviously, we know the Seahawks roster is incredibly stacked since they won a few games throughout this competition. But on the other side, the Commanders have won some games stealing Sauce Gardner, Lane Johnson, Marlon Humphrey, and Matt Milano, as well as their drafted players. Opening drive for the Commanders started off pretty good, with Brian Robinson picking up a bunch of yards on the ground. But on 2nd and 9, Aaron Donald was able to punch the ball free, and Bobby Wagner recovers it. On the very next play, Russell Wilson hands off to Kenneth Walker, who finds a hole, picks up a first down. Okay, oh no, it has fumbled. Right there, pick it up, somebody. The Commanders recover. The Commanders' offense really struggled in the first half, with Kirk Cousins throwing an interception to Tariq Woolen. Russell Wilson was then able to throw a laser to DK Metcalf, who hangs on to it. A couple plays later, Russell Wilson steps back and throws it to DK Metcalf for the first touchdown of the game. Kirk Cousins was able to get his team down the field, and they elected to go for it on 4th down. Kirk Cousins hikes it, hands off, he gets stopped. No, wait! He punches it in! Robinson gets the touchdown! In the second half, Russell Wilson was able to connect with Amon-Ra St. Brown before the Seahawks ended up settling for 3 to take the lead. Cousins hikes the ball. Okay, what's he gonna do? He's gonna find his running back underneath for a few yards. As the time ticks, it's 3rd and 6. Kirk Cousins steps back, throws it, and he connects with his wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, for the first. Faced with another 3rd down, Kirk Cousins can't really find anybody. He steps back, all the way back, launches it, and he gets intercepted. Who is that? I don't know who it is, but he got the interception, and he's going to close out the game. The Seattle Seahawks are the champions of this draft edition Imperialism, taking down the Commanders in the Super Bowl. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out where I built the NFL's first ever 20-0 team. It was a great one. Right over here. Check it out.